Hi, welcome back to Life Matters in Focus. I'm Jeff Dingsor, your host. My co-host, Dr. Brady McDaniels-Kilgore. Dr. Brady, what's some of your background?
My background, educational background, is in child, marriage, and family therapy, with other multiple things that I've studied, complex trauma, complicated grief, and I've actually been doing that work now for over 25 years. I did my residency at Carl Menninger School of Psychiatry and Behavioral Health. That was in the mid-90s. So I have a rounded educational and experience and practical experience in this area.
So that gives us a good grounding of experience of where we're going with
Sure.
this.
I've worked with every population really conceivable to mankind.
Okay.
Children, families, family systems, individuals. So just really a well-rounded understanding of human behavior and relational dynamics.
So let's talk a little bit more about the balance of mind, heart, and spirit. Why is that so necessary to thrive? And even more important, how does that help with knowing who you are? That's, the basis of what this chapter is about.
Right. Well, it's the knowing of the true self that you can't get to that balance of mind, heart, and spirit until you really define who you are. There's always this tension in us, right?
Right.
Because we may be happy for a little while we're in a relationship until we maybe mature a little bit and realize that this person's controlling us, manipulating us, diminishing us in ways that so we're living in fear, we're walking on eggshells, but we don't often pick up on that until we're able to mature a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just one area, and that just fills us with confusion because we're doing what other people want versus knowing what we want. I mean, it can be as simple as that. When we ask, what type of person do I want to be? How do I even know what that is?
Right.
Where do I begin with that? Because other people have told me who I am.
How do we begin to identify that? I mean, to really sit down and say, I mean, what do you think is the best? Well, okay, I'm not phrasing this right. When you say that we need to identify like the type of man or woman that we want to be, and if there's no point of reference before that, because we just don't know who we are,
right.
How do we do that?
Well, we start by, some of the things are already in us, I think, that are pretty clear. Maybe clear, maybe not, but the categories that we begin, as I was saying, the positive ones, am I truthful? Am I a person of integrity? Am I a person of compassion or forgiveness? So on the positive side, it really begins with asking ourselves those deeper questions. That's where it begins. And that's, again, part of the reason that we're doing this segment is to help people and to give people those categories to begin to think in.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
So if we're able to help people begin to think about this, then they're going to begin to be able to define themselves. They're going to have new categories to think about, new ways to think about themselves. Some of it will be challenging,
to say the least.
And if we're honest, and I often say, I've said this for a long, long time, the most difficult thing for a human being to do is to be gut level honest with themselves.
And that being the case, obviously you don't thrive, but if you're in a bad marriage, it stays a bad marriage, or you get divorced and go into another bad marriage or a bad relationship, because you're still repeating those same patterns over and over again.
Sure. I mean, you think about it, we all have relational styles. We have communication styles. We often are moving in those circles in our relational style and communication styles. Could be healthy, they could be unhealthy.
Right.
But how are we going to know unless we really ever examine? Am I condescending to people? Is that a part of my communication style? Am I the type of person that belittles people? Or you can go on down the categories. But with that, who I don't even remember who said it, but they said that a life unexamined is not a life worth living. And
Wow.
it may have been Shakespeare, but I don't remember. But I do remember reading that a life unexamined is not a life worth living.
That's powerful. Whoever wrote it, that's
Right.
very powerful.
But it's really true.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah, because we all should be in self-development.
But I think a lot of times it's people, like you talk about fear being a big thing. I think people are afraid of that self-examination in a lot of ways. I know I was. I didn't want to look at the darkness, for lack of a better word, that was keeping me from the light. That was my true calling of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't. I mean, because I think a lifelong set of patterns is not an easy thing to break, even with the positive new programming that we put in. I know many, many times for me, the knee-jerk reaction when faced with a situation is to go right back to where I was.
Well, that's our
And
default.
To take a conscious step to say, no, that's not where I go anymore, because that's not who I am anymore.
Correct. See, that's the power of writing our own narrative.
Mm-hmm.
The power of writing our own narrative is because when I face life, obstacles, stresses, I'm making a decision based on that firm knowledge of who I am,
Yeah.
my core values. And I say that, I talk about core beliefs and core values, and they're different because the core values is the window dressing of our core beliefs.
Talk about that a little more. What the difference? What is, like? Give me a core value and a core belief, and so we can break that down so that people can understand the difference.
Okay, so if I say that I'm a person who believes in respect,
Right.
right? So I have a core belief that I genuinely believe in respect, that all human beings should have respect and dignity. But then that's my core belief. But my core value is seen as how I act out on that. In other words, if I say I believe in respect, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
I was working with a lady not long ago who was on a dating site, and she met this man, and they got to know each other like 2 or 3 months, and they were talking about how life matters to them and what matters in
How
life.
convenient.
Yeah, but of course their family history, and he talked about how much he really put a lot of energy and core belief about respect. And so they dated, about 3 months, and then one day he just ghosted her.
Wow.
He was gone, and so that was the value. That's what truly showed his value. I say that was the showcase, and that's the power of our core beliefs that manifest in a real concrete way in life.
Well, I think it even goes back to, like, when you said mind, heart, and spirit. I think of the spiritual aspect that people say, oh, I'm a Christian, I believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at their actions and how they talk and speak, and it's like,
Yeah,
how
right.
does that balance?
Sure. Exactly. I mean, that's where I say the cognitive and the emotional don't often connect.
Right.
That we'll live in the cognitive world of I believe in something, but it doesn't translate in real life in a concrete way.
How do you overcome that?
You align. That's where the hard work of defining yourself. Those continual. It's like diving deeper into that self-reflection, self-development. It's a commitment. It's an intentional commitment to oneself to be the very best that we can be, for ourselves and for the world, for the relationships who we're connected to, our service to our neighbor, our service to our work. All of those categories, again, we're asking, what type of employee do I want to be? Or what type of businessman do I want to be, or businesswoman do I want to be? This development of ourself and defining ourself and knowing ourself. But I go back to say, the clearer we know ourselves, the clearer we are about who we are, the decisions we make in life are so much easier, and the anxiety and the stress of our life is lowered because we're not confused, we're not wrestling with issues, that on that fundamental level of our values. It makes it so much easier to navigate through this crazy maze of the world. So that's why, we're doing this work right now to speak to others, to help them begin to develop, and hopefully to help them know their true self.
And to thrive. Okay, so we're going to stop right there for today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jeff Dingsor.
Dr. Brady McDaniels-Kilgore.
And you're watching Life Matters in Focus. Join us again next time. We'll continue this conversation.
Thank you so much for your time.